All right, so linear equations are frequently written in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. Remember, slope is rise over run. And b is the y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis at 0, b. So this is very simple. You identify the slope and the y-intercept and you graph the line. If you would like a ruler to help you draw straight lines, which I would recommend, I have rulers back here. You won't need it for the practice. You might want it for the notes. You definitely want it when you take the test. Okay, so let's look at number 1. M is 2 over 3. And b is negative 5. So we're going to start by plotting negative 5 on the y-axis. That's your first point. Now you're going to use your slope. Remember, rise over run. So we're going up 2 over 3 to plot the next point. Up 2 over 3, and you do that all the way across the graph. I like to also go back in the opposite direction, following the same pattern, just to make sure I get a really straight line. Once you've plotted all the points you can plot, take your ruler and draw your line. Okay, let's look at number 2. There's no fraction there. We just have this negative sign in front of x. So remember, it's always a negative 1. And if you want, you can always make it a fraction by putting it over 1 to remind you what your rise over run is going to be. My y-intercept is 2. First point's going to be at positive 2. So starting from my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 1 and 1 to the right. All the way across. You don't necessarily have to plot every point. It's personal preference. When you get to level 4, it definitely helps to plot every point, because you have to be very precise when you're solving systems. Okay, so that's levels 1 and 2 of this objective. Very easy. Let's go into standard form. There's a few different ways you can graph standard form equations. These are not in the form y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form. So the first method is finding the intercepts. So when you're finding intercepts, you're going to take the x part of the equation and make it equal to 20. So what we're doing actually is we're setting y equal to 0. And if y equals 0, then this whole part of the equation is gone. So we're going to write negative 4x equals 20 and solve that. I would divide by negative 4. X equals positive 5. That's my x-intercept. So plot that on the graph. Sorry, negative 5. Appreciate that. Negative 5. Okay, then we would make x equal to 0, which would eliminate this part. So 5y equals 20. divide by 5, y equals positive 4. And plot your y-intercept. And now you can draw your line. You really only need 2 points to draw a line. Okay, number 4. If x was equal to 0, let's say that x equals 0, then y would equal 3. So that's my y-intercept. Now let's do the opposite. If y is equal to 0, then x would equal 3. Once you have your y-intercept and your x-intercept, you can, graph the line. Okay, that's the first method for graphing standard form. That's not always going to work because you won't always have a perfect easy y-intercept that's a whole number. So the other method is to convert it to slope-intercept form, which is just solving the equation for y. You're just trying to isolate y and make it look like the form y equals mx plus b. So for number 5, if I'm trying to isolate y, the first thing I want to do is subtract 3x. Now this is 2y equals, these are not like terms, don't combine them, negative 3x minus 10. And then to get y by itself, divide by 2. Now you're going to divide each term by 2. So this becomes y equals negative 3 over 2x minus 5. Now your slope is negative 3 over 2, and your y-intercept is negative 5. So in this case, I'm going down 3 and 2 to the right. I can only do it once before I run out of room in that direction, so I'm going to go back the other way, reversing it. And graph the line. Okay, let's do the same for number 6. Subtract 15x. We have negative 3y equals negative 15x minus 9. Divide by negative 3. So now I have y equals 5x plus 3. Slope is 5 over 1. Y-intercept is 3. Up 5, 1 to the right. And the last thing we're going to talk about, the equations in standard form that you'll see are horizontal and vertical lines. So you're going to remember the acronym HOI and VUX, where HOI stands for horizontal, and the O will be a 0 slope, and it crosses the y-axis. So horizontal with a 0 slope that crosses the y-axis. Then we have VUX. VUX is vertical with an undefined slope. Remember, undefined is a 0 in the denominator. And this crosses the x-axis. So number 7 is x equals 7. So this is VUX. It's a vertical line. The x-intercept is at 7. And you're just going to draw a vertical line there. You only need to plot 1 point. Number 8, y equals -6. This one is a HOI. That's a horizontal line crossing the y-axis at -6. Again, you only need to plot 1 point. Draw your horizontal line. So that's what you're doing in the practice today.